2010, a novel by French writer Marc Levy, barely over 200 pages, sold 450,000 copies in just 1 week. It was incredibly well received. This renowned novel, The Shadow Thief *, tells the story of a boy who was constantly bullied by his classmates. Then, he accidentally discovered he possessed a superpower. Whenever his shadow overlapped with another person's, he could steal that shadow. And through that shadow, he could hear the deepest secrets of its owner. He learned that a classmate, who appeared cheerful and free-spirited, actually harbored a fragile heart beneath their bright exterior. Or a friend who seemed happy might have endured a sorrowful childhood. A person who appeared mature and composed might, in reality, have long-hidden scars in their soul. Let's set aside the fairy-tale-like magical colors of this novel for a moment and delve deeper into what the author truly left for us, the details that speak of the struggles in the lives of ordinary people and the silent power of kindness. It is inherent in each of us, waiting for us to awaken it. This novel is dubbed a fairy tale for adults because each of us can find a reflection of ourselves somewhere within its pages. It is an incredibly heartwarming story, yet it's also one that can bring tears to the eyes of many readers. At the same time, as you read and reflect deeply, it will help you understand and feel another aspect of what true kindness really is. A genuine kindness that remains silent in the shadows without needing to be voiced. Keeping others' vulnerabilities in the dark *. The story begins when the boy has to transfer schools, moving with his parents to a small town. The new environment brought him all sorts of troubles, the biggest of which came from a boy named Michael. Michael was incredibly rude, mischievous, and had many followers. During a class president election, Michael, confident in his popularity, nominated himself. But the result was devastating. No one voted for him except himself. This was humiliating, but something even more shameful followed. The girl he was pursuing began to coldly ignore him, then became close with another boy. Michael was furious, desperately trying to hide his inner shame. He used the shadow thief as a punching bag for his anger, beating him and locking him in a locker. Then, by chance, the shadow thief managed to steal Michael's shadow. From this shadow, he learned a hidden truth. Michael was actually a very gentle boy. However, his father constantly shamed him for not being manly enough, scolding, insulting, and even hitting him. Once, Michael went hunting with his father, but his gentle nature prevented him from killing a small rabbit. He let the rabbit run away. Unexpectedly, this infuriated his father, who pointed directly at him and yelled, "You worthless trash." Michael grew up in a family where he wasn't valued by his parents. His father was always yelling, and his mother remained silent, just watching. At this point, Michael's shadow couldn't help but shed tears, saying, "My owner thinks he's stupid, unwelcome. He's been in so much pain since he was little, and as he grew, it became unbearable." The truth of being despised by his parents was a fatal blow, something Michael most wanted to hide. But upon learning this truth, the shadow thief chose to respond with kindness, not by consoling or offering advice, but by choosing silence. He kept Michael's weakness a secret, like a shadow behind his back. He understood that Michael was deeply insecure, and all his antics, all his bullying, were merely attempts to attract attention and gain validation from those around him. The shadow thief remained silent, not exposing his opponent's weakness. He possessed a benevolent heart. Only those with kindness can open their clear eyes to truly see the heart of the problem. The next day, he met Michael and simply reminded him about the picnic a few days later. During the picnic, the shadow thief unfortunately got lost, but it was Michael who coincidentally found him. On the way back, he proudly told the whole class, "It's a good thing Michael was there, he's really good." Michael was completely stunned, caught between the applause of the teacher and his classmates. From that day on, Michael became a completely different person. He was quieter and no longer sought to bully the shadow thief. Later, Michael was elected class president, and as an adult, he became the city mayor. You know, the world is full of variety. Everyone has their own circumstances. In life, everyone has weaknesses, embarrassing moments, awkward situations, or confusion. We can see others' weaknesses and shortcomings, but it's very difficult to see the hidden truth behind them. Often, behind someone's incomprehensible words and actions, there might be a childhood full of scars, a difficult life, or feelings of helplessness that we are unaware of. When you know someone's weaknesses and shameful secrets, choose silence. Never expose them. This is true kindness. Always remember that everyone has flaws, private matters, and the most fragile things in their heart that they don't want anyone to touch. Someone once said that a truly kind and well-mannered person isn't someone who eats without spilling, but someone who doesn't look at others when they spill, doesn't gossip about private matters, and doesn't expose others' mistakes. To see through something but not reveal the truth, to know a weakness but not expose it and make others ashamed. This is the most fundamental kindness for a human being. A genuine kindness sometimes needs to be hidden in the shadows, and sometimes just silence is more than enough. Do not interfere in others' lives. The shadow thief's first friend was Lucas. Though from a poor family, Lucas was very ambitious. Since childhood, he had dreamed of becoming a doctor, but it was the shadow thief who later got into medical school. Lucas, due to his family's financial difficulties, had to return home to work as a baker to help his parents, who were on the verge of bankruptcy. For a long time, the shadow thief believed Lucas to be content and happy, so he felt reassured about his friend. But one day, Lucas's shadow secretly followed the shadow thief home and pleaded, "Please help my owner change his life and take him with you before it's too late. Help him become the person he wants to be." Hearing this, the shadow thief was deeply disturbed and wanted to immediately run to Lucas's father to explain Lucas's true feelings, hoping to help his friend. But the shadow thief's mother stopped him, saying, "If Lucas knew you went to his father, he might resent you. This is his life, he can only decide for himself." But his compassion for his friend made him unable to listen. He ran straight to the bakery. However, just as he saw Lucas's father, his mother's words echoed in his ears, "You cannot interfere in other people's lives, even if it's for their own good. You must remember it's their life." His face flushed, but ultimately, he chose to leave without revealing the truth. A few days later, on his way back to the dorm, he saw Lucas standing there with a suitcase. It turned out Lucas's father had seen through everything and agreed to let him pursue medicine. Finally, with the shadow thief's help, Lucas passed his exams and received a scholarship. The story of Lucas and the shadow thief reminds me of a saying, "Everyone has their own life trajectory. You have mountains you want to climb, I have rivers I want to cross. Those who cross mountains don't need to ask how deep the rivers are, and those who cross rivers don't need to care how high the mountains are." Mountains and rivers are different paths, but each path has its own beauty and challenges. Different circumstances, different feelings. Even when dealing with the most important people, even if you want what's best for them, do not interfere in their lives. Because you don't know what worries, what unspeakable secrets lie behind their lives. In reality, we often see people like this. You want to pursue a particular field out of passion, but someone with good intentions tells you that this field has no future and you should choose another. Or you want to dedicate yourself to building a career, but someone with good intentions advises you to settle down first. You want to return to work after having children, but someone with good intentions suggests that women should stay home and care for the family. These are, in essence, coercive actions, like forcing a lamp upon someone. An act that one believes to be well-intentioned may not necessarily be good for others. What sounds like intelligent, rational advice might be detrimental to the other person. Ultimately, people differ in their life experiences and actual circumstances. No one can be responsible for another person's life, nor do they have the right to decide it. Your answer, no matter how absolutely correct, may not solve their problem. No matter how good a relationship is, don't try to be a mentor to others. As a German writer once said, "I only give advice when others come to me. Even then, I am cautious because experience is like old clothes and it rarely fits others." Offer help when others seek it, but only if you can truly help. If not, please leave it be. When others don't need you, even if you know something would be very good for them, it's better to remain silent. Instead of interfering in others' affairs with good intentions, focus on your own business and take responsibility for your own actions. Psychologist Carl Rogers once said, "Don't try to change others. All you can do is be like the sun, radiating your light and warmth, which is enough. For all those fumbling in the dark, what they crave most may not be a lamp, but a lighthouse." Don't coercively light lamps for everyone around you. True kindness is turning your concern into spring rain, silently nourishing everything. Don't touch others' scars. Another significant character in the shadow thief's childhood was Mr. Eve, the security guard. Despite an age difference of over 40 years, they were close friends. Mr. Eva's story began with an accident. One day, the gas stove in the school exploded. The explosion not only nearly killed the security guard, but also revealed a secret he had kept hidden for decades. The shadow thief distinctly remembered that night. Mr. Eve, covered in injuries, sneaked back into the burnt guardroom to search for a notebook his deceased mother had supposedly written for him. But at that very moment, his shadow suddenly appeared. The boy saw a strange sight. Eva's mother had died right after he was born. Since childhood, he had lived with relatives and had never seen his mother. He had imitated a mother's voice and written these intimate words to himself. And he risked danger to retrieve this notebook, which turned out to be just the heartfelt words he had invented himself. What he truly yearned for was to find his mother's warmth. Eve had told a lie, but it was such a sad lie. The shadow thief vowed to help Eve feel a mother's love. He asked his own mother to write a warm letter, then buried it. Finally, he guided Eve to find it himself. His plan worked perfectly. Eve not only found the letter, but was also greatly encouraged. The shadow thief cheerfully said, "Every mother's greatest wish is for her child to be happy. You should be happy, Mr. Eve, and you should pursue your own life." And just a few days later, Eve quit his security guard job. He found the work he loved and decided to pursue his own life. In reality, we see that in life, everyone, just like Eve, has a sad corner in their heart. It could be a broken relationship, a humiliating fall, a terrible failure, or a belated regret with no chance of mending. Each of us lives through such moments. Therefore, if you see someone's scars, please don't touch them. Please don't speak of them, for exposing them is merely sprinkling salt on their wounds. As the famous economist F.A. Hayek once said, "The road to hell is paved with good intentions." And these good intentions are what we believe to be right. The greatest kindness is not barging into others' lives, not breaking the boundary between yourself and that person, and not touching their emotional wounds. The Shadow Thief was praised by French media as the most moving novel in over a decade. It contains no life or death drama, no love or hate with captivating plot twists. It's simply like a gentle melody played on an afternoon radio, allowing these heartwarming stories to flow through each of our hearts. And remember, no matter how hard life gets, there are always people silently protecting us. Life always holds regrets, but also countless warmth silently hidden away. It is this silent, warm protection that makes our lives sweeter.